Hello everyone, good evening. So am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Sudhanshu.
Okay, fine. Last week, so we were talking about this numpy. So let's try to finish this numpy things, and then we'll get into a matplotlib and how we can plot a different kind of a graphical structure by using a matplotlib libraries, by using a cufflinks, by using a seaborn, and by using I can say a plotly. So this is what the agenda will be for today's class. So let's see. That's how it goes basically. So here, so on that day, so we were talking about basically. I can say different kind of functions and different kind of features which is available inside a numpy. So today what we are going to do is, so we are going to like extend a same lecture and we'll try to like see what all functions are available and how we can use all of those functions to manipulate my arrays or manipulate my matrices. Fine, let's start these things. Okay, so okay, so on that day basically, so we were talking about this array. So fine, let's start with same thing I would say. So here I'm trying to call a numpy.arange, and as we have discussed on that day, so basically arange is equivalent to a range function. The only difference between a range and arange is, so range function can't take I can say a decimal number or a floating point number as a step size, whereas arange function can take all of those things. So fine, we are trying to create, I can say, a particular array, and I'm just going to talk about indexing and slicing over here. So indexing and slicing means it's equivalent to a list indexing and slicing. So we will be able to fetch any kind of a data and in any manner, in any order out of this thing. So again, this is exactly equivalent to the list function that we have discussed so far, so forth. So here we are going to call like an array of 7. So basically it is going to pull a element from 7th indexes, I would say. So whatever is there at the 7th indexes, so it is going to pull, and again indexes starts from a 0, I would say. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to start from a 3rd index, I'm trying to go till a 6th index, excluding a 6th index, and then I'm trying to take basically a step size of 2. So this is what happens, I would say. So if I'm going to execute it, so it is going to cover a 3rd index till 6th indexes, excluding a 6th indexes, and in between, so whatever number we have with the step size of 2, so it is going to give it to me. So as you can see, so like I'm able to get 3 and 5 over here. Now, so if I'm trying to write something like that, array of column 4, so in that case I have not given an initial point. So by default it will be able to assume that initial point is equal to, I can say, a 0th indexes, and then it will try to traverse till a 4th indexes. So this is what happens. So in that case you will end up getting these particular things. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So basically till, I can say, a 4th index, so till a 4th, I would say, so you will be able to get a data. Again, here what I'm trying to say is, so I'm trying to say that start from a negative axis. So start from a negative direction and go till positive, and then again try to take a jump into a negative direction. So basically I'm trying to traverse my data from negative to positive, so in a reverse axis, I would say. And again, if I'm trying to make a jump into a reverse axis, so I will be able to get a data into a backward direction, I can say. So here, as you can see, so I'm able to get a data from a 10 till, so starting from a 10, which is nothing but a last index. Basically a last index is called as a -1, I would say. So from like a -1 till 7th indexes, so we are able to fetch a data. Same thing we are trying to do over here, but the only difference in this place is, so we are trying to traverse from -1 till -6, and we are trying to jump into a positive side. So if you are trying to traverse into a negative side, and if you're trying to make a jump into a positive side, so in that case there will be a conflict. It will not be able to understand a direction, and in that case you will end up getting a blank array, I would say. Now, so again, what I'm trying to do over here is, so I'm trying to call like generate a data in between 0 to 21 with the step size of 2. So it's completely fine. It will be able to generate a data in between, I would say. Now again, so same slicing operation I'm trying to perform in this place. So nothing new, I would say. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to basically call this numpy, and then after that, so I'm trying to generate a data. Now, so whenever I say ri, so ri is nothing but a random integer, which I can say. So whenever, so what we are trying to do over here is, so we are trying to generate a 15 integer, So 15 as a number, I would say. So 15 integer we are trying to generate in between 10 to 100. So basically a different random integer we are going to generate, which will be in between a range of 10 to 100, and we are going to call a resave function on top of that. So whenever we have generated a 15 number and we are going to call this resave on top of that, so basically it is going to resave all of those data with a 3x5 matrices. And again, in a last class, so we have discussed about these things in very detail, I would say. So you can just follow this up, I would say, and you will be able to get a lot of insights about a resave function as well. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I have generated this data. Now out of this data, what I'm trying to perform is, so I'm trying to fetch a data starting from the index 1, I can say, till 4, and here we are trying to fetch a data starting from index 3 to 5. Now how it works, so let me first of all execute this function as a random integer function, and then I will be able to show you that how it actually works. So here what we are trying to do is, so I'm trying to execute this one. So I'm trying to execute this one where I'm looking for a data starting from index 1 till 4. So whenever I say 1 till 4, so basically it will look into a row indexes. It will not even look into a column indexes. So as a first argument, as a first parameter, so you are supposed to pass a row indexes over here. And then here I'm trying to type a column indexes. So if I'll try to explain you these things, so here is our matrices which is given. So if I'll try to talk about like indexes over here, so 0, 1, and 2, and again 0, 1, I can say, then we have a 2, we have a 3 over here, and we have a 4 over here. Now I have written extract a data starting from 1 till 4. So basically we don't have a fourth indexes, so it is not going to give you any problem. So it is going to traverse through 1 and 2, and then we are trying to say that, okay, so traverse a data and get me a data from a column 3 to 5. So column 3 is this one, and then 4 is this one. We don't have a fifth column. So whatever will be the intersection of this part, so it is going to give you that as a data set. So this is what we are able to achieve, and this is what we are able to extract out of the matrices. This is how we are able to do a slicing in a matrices at any point of a time. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about is again almost the same kind of operation. So here we have written a row. So I'm trying to fetch a data starting from a row index 0 going till 3rd, and then in a column part, so we are trying to get a data from a first column and from a third column, so in terms of indexes. So this is what you are going to receive if I'm going to execute. So from this particular matrix, so you are going to get 67, 68, which is nothing but a first, I can say, and third column, and then you are going to get a data from 0 to 3 indexes in terms of a row, and this is what you are going to receive. I can say 67, 48, 96, and so on. So this is what happens in this case. Now, so moving forward, I can say, so here I'm trying to type a mat1. So suppose if we have typed a mat1, now what will happen over there? So if I'm trying to type mat1 in this place, so I'm going to get, so suppose this is the matrices that we have as a mat, and if I'm going to execute mat1, so in this case it is going to give me this row. Now, so mat1 of 1 if we are trying to write, and if I'm going to execute, so it is going to give me a data from a first indexes, which is nothing but a 48. So this was a mat1, and out of that I'm trying to get a data from the first location. So yes, we are able to fetch a data out of that. Suppose we have written mat12. So here we have written mat12 in this place. So now mat12 means what? A first row and the second column. This is what it means, I would say. So from the first row and the second column intersection, so we are looking for the data. So almost it's a same kind of operation that we were trying to perform into a pandas by using a ilog function. So same kind of operation easily we are able to perform in case of a numpy. Now here I'm trying to write a mat2, so for sure it is going to give you a second row. Here we have written a mat of column, so means we are trying to fetch all the data from all the rows, and we are trying to look for a data from a third column indexes. So this is what it means. So you will be able to get a data. Now here again, so I have written fetch a data from a row index 1 to 3 and the column index 3 to 5. So you will be able to get a data for that one. Now again, so here we have done the same kind of operation. So fetch a data from a 0th row till 2nd row. And again, so try to get a data basically as in terms of a column from 1st and the 3rd column. And this is what you are going to receive at any point of time. So anyone who is having any issue with this slicing, so whatever we have discussed so far, so forth in terms of slicing. So if you have any doubts, please go ahead for any questions. Yeah. So any question with the slicing?
Yes, Sudhanshu, can you please go to line number 74? Yeah.
74. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in line number 4, you have mentioned 1:4. So
Yeah.
like we are going till we have 3 rows. So in that case, how it printed like 67, 68 like that?
Yeah, so what, no. So basically it is going to give you print for this one. So if I'll try to execute again this thing, so basically it is trying to print this for this particular operation, I can say. So line number 1, so line number 1, and it is going till 4. So basically we don't have a 4th indexes. It is not going to complain at all. It is not going to tell you like a index out of bound kind of exception. So it is going to this one, it is going to this one, 1st and 2nd, and then from 3 to 5. So basically we have a 0, we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 4. So basically it is going to give you intersection of this section. Is it making sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Hi Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Sudhanshu, this is Sanjeev here. I'm requesting you, can you share this code?
No, it's already done, I think. It's already available in dashboard. So I have already shared, I think, last week itself.
Okay. I have not checked actually.
Yeah, so it's already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sudhanshu, actually see here, what is RI there exactly, Sudhanshu?
So basically RI is nothing but in last class, I was talking about a random integer, right? And I have imported a function called as randint. So there is a random function, there is a randint function, and there is a randint function. So randint function always try to give you a random integer. So I have just given alias for that so that I don't have to type this randint again and again.
Okay, you have given RI then.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Sudhanshu, thanks a lot.
Okay, fine. So moving forward. So let's talk about basically a subsetting. So let's try to understand that what is the meaning of this subsetting basically. So here what we have done is, so we are trying to generate again a same old 15 number, I can say, and we are trying to reshape it with 3 cross 5. Now here we have written mat greater than 50. So same kind of operation that we have done into a data frame. So similar kind of operation we are trying to perform even over there. So if you remember, so we were using data frame and with some condition greater than 0, greater than this, greater than that. So same kind of operation I'm trying to perform in this place. So what it will try to do is, so it will try to traverse through each and every number which is available inside your matrices, and wherever your condition will be satisfied. So wherever condition will satisfy, so in that case it is going to give you true, otherwise it is going to give you false. As simple as that, I would say. So that is called as a subsetting. So again, if I'm trying to select a data basically, so suppose if I'm trying to select a data and so far so forth, I have been giving a range, a row range or a column range I was trying to give, and based on that, so it was trying to slice a data out of the matrices. So now this time what I have done is, so I have given a condition. So I have given a thing that, okay, so wherever mat is greater than 50, so wherever mat element is greater than 50, so just give me those elements. So it is going to return basically all of those elements wherever this is going to be true. As simple as that. So it is going to fetch all the data wherever, so from all the indexes wherever there is a true Boolean value, I would say. So that's the reason. So we are able to get all the data which was greater than 50. So in that case, you can write any kind of a condition that you are looking for, and you will be able to filter out a data from any kind of a matrices or any kind of a arrays. Now here, let's talk about a slicing operation. So slicing, we have already done this slicing so many times. So let's try to understand this. So here I'm trying to create a matrix kind of array. And again, I'm trying to perform the slicing operation. So I'm saying that, okay, do one thing, fetch a data in terms of a row starting from a 0 till 2nd indexes. And then here, starting from 0 till 2nd indexes. So it is going to fetch all of those data starting from 0 till 2nd indexes, excluding a 2nd indexes, I would say. Now here, so we were able to fetch a data. Now, so if I'll talk about our matrices, so this is the whole matrices that we have. Now, so what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to manipulate a particular matrix. So keeping this in mind, so we are trying to fetch, suppose a matrix of slice 0, 0. So now if I'm going to call a matrix of slice 0, 0 over here. Now, so matrix of slice 0, 0, so mat slice basically. So this is nothing but a mat slice that we have. So mat slice 0, 0 is equal to 11. Now, so what we can do is, so we can try to implement a assignment operation over here. And in that way, again, if I'm going to print a mat slice over here, in this case, so it is going to give me this new element which I have updated. So again, matrix or array, I can say, is a mutable element. You can mutate at any point of a time. There is no restriction. It's not like a tuples, which is not mutable. It is mutable, and yes, we are able to mutate it, I would say. So fine. So same thing I'm trying to perform in this particular places. Now, so there is some universal functions which is available inside numpy. So let's try to understand those universal functions. This is the default function which is given for you. So at any point of a time, you can use this function and you will be able to do any kind of a manipulation anytime. So here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to generate a 9 number ranging from 1 to 10. So just random number, random integer, I can say. So I'm trying to generate over here. And then I'm trying to call a reshape function on top of that. So 3 cross 3 matrices we are able to generate. Now, so if I'm trying to call mat1 dot mat2, so basically this is not a matrix multiplication that we are trying to achieve over here. So it is going to give you a element wise multiplication. So there is a difference between a matrix multiplication and a element wise multiplication. So if I'm going to execute it, so as you can see, so it is trying to multiply 7 into 3. It can multiply 2 into 3 is equal to 6. So basically it's an index wise multiplication which it is trying to perform. This is not a matrix wise multiplication, I would say. So if I'm looking for a matrix wise multiplication, then the symbol for that one is at the rate. So basically at the rate is a symbol which you can use for doing a matrix wise multiplication. Otherwise it's just a element wise multiplication if you are using a static as an operator or a multiplication operator if you are using. So always keep these things in mind. And again, I would say, so for a matrix multiplication, so there are a certain rules, I would say. So suppose I have a matrix. So suppose if I have a matrix 1, so the size of matrix 1 is m cross n. So the another matrix, suppose we have a m2, so this size should be basically n. So the column of a first matrix and the row of the second matrix should be same. If it is not same, you will not be able to achieve a matrix multiplication. I think we all have studied these things in our childhood. So in maybe 8th and 9th classes, I would say. So n into p, and final matrices that you are going to get will be having a dimension of m cross p. This is how a matrix multiplication, like a final outcome, looks like. And unless and until your matrix is not satisfying this particular rule, so you will not be able to perform a matrix multiplication at any point of a time. Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to perform this mat at the rate of mat 0. It's completely fine. Again over here, so I'm trying to do mat 1 divided by 0. And as we know, so if you are going to use a 0 as a denominator, so if you're trying to divide anything with 0, so in that case, in most of the programming languages, it is going to give you an error. In general, in terms of mathematics, I can say it's an infinity. So where value tends to infinity, I would say, limit tends to infinity. But here, so if I'm going to like a divide anything by 0, so again, it will be a element wise division, and there is a INF symbol which exists inside a numpy. So it is not going to give you any complaint at any point of a time. Yes. So in any other programming languages or even in Python code, if you are trying to perform this kind of operation, so for sure you are going to receive an error. But here it's not an error at all, I would say. Again, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to do like 100 plus mat. So basically, again, it's a element wise operation. So it is going to add 100 into all of those elements that you have generated into a mat 1. As simple as that. And again, over here, so what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to use basically, yeah. So here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to call a mat and then static 3. So whenever I'm using a mat static 3, so this double static means basically a power. So I'm trying to give a mat 1 to the power 3. And same kind of operation you will be able to achieve by calling a power function. So basically it's a power function, I would say, where in a first place it is going to take an object. So basically we are trying to provide a matrix objective, mat1, and here we are trying to give a power. In both of these cases, you are going to receive a similar kind of a output. So this is how like static works, I would say. And again, we can do a element wise like a summation operation, multiplication operation. We have seen we can do a matrix multiplication operation as well. And static is not a keyword by which you will be able to do a matrix multiplication. It will just do a index wise operation, index wise multiplication, and nothing else. So before moving to the next section, so anyone who is having any doubts, concern, confusion, so please raise your doubt. We'll try to clarify. Yeah. So anyone who is having any doubts, anything? Okay. So if no one is having any doubts, so moving forward. So here what we are trying to do is, so let's talk about a broadcasting, how broadcasting works. And basically this topic is a little bit confusing. So let's try to focus over here in terms of a broadcasting. Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to call numpy.zeros. So as we have discussed, there is a function called as numpy.zeros and there is a function called as numpy.ones. So numpy.zeros and numpy.ones basically try to create a new matrices or an array for you with a dimension that you have given, and as a value it is going to fill this entire matrices with zeros or ones, depends which function you are using basically. So here I'm using a numpy.zeros, a 4 cross 4 basically over here. And what we are trying to do is, so it is going to create a 4 cross 4 matrices with all the element is equal to 0. And here what we have done is, so we are trying to add 100 over here. So in case of 100, so it is going to add 100 to each and every element. Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to create a numpy array in this place, and my array is having a value like a 1, 0, 2, and 5. And this is how it looks like. Now, so what I'm trying to do in this place is, so I'm trying to call this entire matrices, and then I'm trying to call these particular array that I have created. Now, so there is something called as a broadcasting, and there is something called as a column-wise broadcasting and a row-wise broadcasting. So in this situation, what will happen is, so it is going to broadcast one by one column, I can say. So if I'll try to explain you, so I can explain you in this particular way. So here we have an array, as you can see, and we have this entire matrices over here. So it is going to broadcast 1, 0, 2, 5 to all of those column one by one, depends upon the operator that we are trying to use over here. So as you can see, so it has added 1 to 100, 0 to 100, 2 to 100, 5 to 100, and is trying to perform a similar kind of operation, I would say, for each and every rows that we have inside our matrices. So this is what happens. So this is called as a column-wise broadcast operation. So last time we have taken just 100, even that was a broadcast operation, but that was basically a element-wise broadcast operation. Now we are trying to perform a column-wise broadcast operation. It's completely fine. So we are able to do that, I can say. Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to create an array, and we are trying to transpose it. So here I'm trying to use a small symbol, I can say capital T, which is nothing but a transpose. So it is going to rotate your entire array 180 degree basically. So whatever was available into a column, so now it will be a row wise, I would say. So basically I'm trying to perform a row wise broadcast operation, and let's see how we'll be able to perform it. So once I will be able to call this a dot T, a capital T, in this place, so fine, and then I'm trying to call the same old matrices 100 100 100 values, and then we are trying to call this add columns, and in that case basically, so it is trying to do a broadcasting operations row wise. So this is how I can explain a row wise broadcasting operation and a column wise broadcasting operation. Again, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to give just 100, and in that case, so it is going to broadcast all of those hundreds over to the entire data set that we have. Now here we are again trying to call this matrix 1, matrix 2. We are trying to like form this matrix 1 and matrix 2, which is having a random integer, I can say. Now here let's talk about some of the default functions. So inside a numpy, so there is a function available as a sqrt. So basically it's a square root function that is available. So again, it is going to do a element wise square root operation on top of the matrices. Again, here we are trying to use exponential. So again, it's an element wise function. So for every element, it is going to give you the exponent of it. Now again, we are trying to call numpy.log and we are trying to call our matrix one. So again, it is going to find out the logarithmic of each and every element of the matrices that we have, and then you will be able to get the final outcome. Now, so in this case, basically we are trying to use F mode. Now, so what F mod basically does? So here it is going to basically divide element of matrix 1 by a matrix 2, and then whatever will be the remainder, so it is just going to give you. This is what mod function does, and this is what we are trying to achieve based on the F mode function. As simple as that. Now here again we are trying to create, I can say, as we have discussed, a line space last time. So here we are trying to generate 1001 data set in between these two range. So this is what line space does, including a last point. So line space is going to give you a value. So here we will end up generating 1000 values, as you can see. So this is it, and this is all about a numpy that I'm supposed to discuss and I had to discuss. Now I'm going to move into a plotting, basically how we can plot graphs and how we'll be able to read the data, what is the meaning of a different kind of a graph inside a Python. So before moving to that, so if anyone is having any concern, any questions, or any permutation combination, you can go ahead for that. Yeah.
Sir, could you explain F mode again?
Okay, so are you aware about mod?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's the same thing, I would say. So in case of, I can say a numpy, I would say, so it is just going to give you a mod of return the element wise remainder of the division. So it's the same thing that it is going to do. The function name is F mode. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
So if you just
yeah, if you can go one by one, I think that will be better for me. Yeah.
So then, could you please explain linspace as well as what is the difference between linspace and random integer?
Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do over here is, so I'm trying to call a line space, and I have given that, okay, so take this as an initial, so take this as a final point, take this as an initial point. So in between these 2 points, so basically I'm looking for 1001 element. So basically it can give you a integer, it can give you a floating point, it can give you any kind of a number, any kind of a 1001 number in between. Now if I'm going to use a rand int, and if I have given a range in between, and if I'm trying to generate some data, so always it is just going to give you integer, nothing else. So it is not going to return any decimal. So that's the only difference I would say, which we have in between a rand int and a line space. Clear?
Yes.
What if we just want to concatenate one row or one column instead of each row being added?
No, what if you want to do what?
Concatenate a row.
So which row you wanted to use? So which one row you wanted to concatenate?
Like for example, to 100, like to np dot zeros, 3 cross 5 matrix or anything like that. When you are adding, say, a row matrix of 100, 100, 100, 100, every row is getting added by 100.
Yes.
Instead of that, I want to keep the numpy dot zeros just like that and just add another row to it.
So add another row in this one.
Yeah.
So this is what you're looking for?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you're saying that, okay, so how we can accommodate one more row in this particular places, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so simple, you can go ahead with this kind of operation, I can say. So let's suppose I have this as y. Now my y is nothing but this one. And now you are saying that, okay, so how we can add another row or the column in between, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I can do is, so I can try to y plus, but plus is going to do just a concatenation operation. I can do the manipulation, but if I have to just add one more row, right? So let me.
Sudhanshu, we can use B stack, na? np dot B stack.
np dot
B stack.
Okay, yeah, VStack is going to work for sure. So numpy dot vstack, and then we can
But Sudhanshu, already you have mentioned the boundaries, right? 4 cross 4. Then how can you add
4
this?
cross 4. So no, so what I can do is, so I can try to manipulate the existing one. So I will not be trying to store, I will try to override the old variable itself. That is possible somehow, I would say. So vertical stack and okay, so let me np.vstack, and we have y over here now. So I can give a tuples stack array in sequentially vertical row wise, and
Y comma np dot arn 0 to 4.
yeah, so we stack a and b I can give. So here what I can do is, so I can try to give this one, and I can try to give y commas. Let's suppose I wanted to add 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, fine.
Fine.
Yeah, so VStack. I think this VStack was available even in some problem statement, right? I think in assignment number 2, in last problem statement, VStack we have been using. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
this is how you can use it. Okay, as simple as that. So any other problem? Anyone?
Hello, Sadanshu.
Yeah.
What if you want to add only to a particular row, not
Sorry.
a
Okay, so in that case, you can go for the condition. So you can try to filter out that, okay, fine, this is the index number. And in
yeah.
that case, just try to filter out and just try to add with those numbers. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is basically a pretty like an easy operation. Yeah. So anyone else?
Sudhanshu, one more question.
Yeah.
In the input 264, the below one, add
Okay.
scalar you defined as NP array of 100,
100.
right?
Yes.
That means which dimension it will take?
So basically it is just taking a single element. So I have just taken a single element over here. So if I'm going to give a two element in this place, so in this case, so basically 123, and let's suppose I'm trying to give basically just a 100, or np.array add a scalar I'm supposed to add into y. Let's suppose I'm doing these things. So in this case, so it is going to add everything over here now. So if I'm going to add, let's suppose 122, and this is the error. So basically when I say that there is only one element, so there is no dimension which has been defined, it's an element wise operation. But whenever I say this is the two element, so in that case, if I'm saying two element, means I should have the element which is equal to the number of the element which is available inside the particular row.
Okay.
Making sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to,
Give four ones.
it will work for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, can you explain the column broadcasting?
Which one? A column broadcasting. Column broadcasting we have done just now, right? This one. This one is actually an example of column broadcasting, I can say. So where we have taken a one column and then we are trying to broadcast it across the entire column one by one. So it is whatever we have taken, so it is just going to perform the similar kind of operation with every columns one by one. Making sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so if no one is having any questions, so let's try to get into our data visualization part. So we have to discuss so much, I would say, in terms of our data visualization. So first of all, we'll start with a very basic, I would say, a library, which is a matplotlib, and then we'll jump into a seaborn, then we'll jump into a plotly. So whenever I'll come to a plotly part, so plotly is a pretty advanced, I would say, a library, and again, a very interactive library at the same point of time. So you will see like beautiful graphs you will be able to plot into a plotly or into a cufflinks. But if I look into a matplotlib, so yes, a static kind of a graph I will be able to plot inside a matplotlib. But inside a plotly, so I will be able to plot of two interactive graphs, just like a sales market, like a, I can say, stock market graph. I will be able to plot inside a plotly. So I'll come to this point. So it takes some time to load itself, I can say. So I just wanted to show you, so what kind of a graph we are going to plot basically. So just wait for few seconds. So it takes some time because Plotly always, it's a dynamic graph. So at any point of a time, it will take some time to pop up, around 1 to 2 minutes of time initially. So once you will be able to load one graphs, then it will be able to load all the graphs. So this is how Plotly has been designed, I can say. So fine, in between, so what we can do is, so we can try to go through this matplotlib, and then we'll try to get into a Plotly. Okay, so let's try to restart and run all. Okay, coming to this point. So here what we're trying to do is, so we have talked about a numpy, we talked about a pandas. Now Seaborn is, again, I can say, a library, a rich set of library which has been used for a graphical representation. And again, matplotlib is another library which has been used for the graphical representation. And as a beginner into a data science, so for sure you are going to use a matplotlib. And again, there is an advanced library like a Plotly, and couplings are available, or a D3JS which is available, I would say. So fine, let's talk about what is matplotlib and what in all kind of a graph I will be able to plot by using a matplotlib. And here I'm trying to call all the numpy function that we have discussed so far, so forth. So here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to create a data frame, as you can see. Now inside that one, so I'm trying to call a rand in. So I'm trying to generate 1,000 random number in this place, and I'm trying to give indexes, and I'm trying to give periods, and I'm trying to give columns over here. So indexes wise, so basically row indexes wise, so I'm trying to call a pandas.date range, and inside that, so I'm trying to give a initial date range, as you can see, and period we have given as 1,000. So what it will do is, so it will try to consider this as an initial point, and then it will try to generate a next 1,000 records, I would say. So consecutive records it is going to generate, and that will be equal to our number of the data that we have generated. So for every data set, so we are trying to give a row indexes over here, and then as a column, so we are trying to give a value. So column name is equal to values, and in this way, so I will end up creating a data frame which is having like 1,000 records, and like indexes will be equal to a date range, and with over the period of 1,000, and again column is equal to values. In the second one, so we are trying to generate a series, and as we know the difference between a date, like a data frame, and a series. So here again I'm trying to generate a random 1,000 data set, and I'm trying to call up pandas date range. And again, I'm just trying to give a period. I'm not trying to give basically a column name over here. And in this way, so it will end up generating a series. So let's try to execute it, and let's try to see that what in all kind of a data it is going to generate. So as you have seen that we are able to secure different kind of random values. And again, the index that we are trying to generate is starting from this particular date, and so on, I can say. Now, so here I'm trying to call a data frame value. So basically it is going to select this particular column. As we know, this is how we select a column. And then, so we are trying to call a cum sum. So we are trying to call a cumulative sum over here. Now let's try to understand what is our meaning of cumulative sum. So here in a first place, so we were having a data as 2.72. Now in a second place, we have a data in this place as 0.88 negative. Now, so cumulative sum is nothing but a next number will be equal to a summation of a current number and a previous number. That is called as a cumulative sum. So the next number that it is going to generate is nothing but the addition of this number and this number. Again, the next number which it is going to generate will be nothing but addition of this number and whatever number it has generated previously. So this is called as a cum sum, a cumulative sum operation. So we are trying to generate it. There is no specific purpose behind that one. So I'm just wanted to show you what is a cumulative sum. That's the reason. So I have talked about these particular things. Now here again, I'm trying to call the data, the time series, or I can say a series that we have created over here. And we are trying to perform a cumulative sum operation. Again, meaning of these two are exactly same. Here I'm just trying to check the data type. So basically data type of both of these things is data frame and a series, I can say. Now, so basically I'm trying to call this particular series that we have created dot plot. And if I'll go back, so plot is nothing but, so basically it comes from a matplotlib pyplot. So here I'm trying to call that, okay, do one thing. So try to plot this entire data set that we have. And inside that, so we have given a figure size is equal to 25 cross 5. So basically this is nothing but a relative window size that we are going to give. So if you are going to change this particular one, so in that case, the window size in which it is trying to show your graph will change. Now, as you can see over here, so in our x-axis and in our y-axis, so we have a two different kind of a data set which has been represented. Now, so if I'll do the comparison between this graph and the data set that we have chosen, so as you can see, so this is my data set basically that I have. And inside this data set, so these are the row or the index values, and these are the data set that we are able to secure. Now here I'm trying to call a plot. So it is going to take all of this data set, I would say, and it will try to plot it by default with 5 cross 5 window size. Now here, so in our x-axis, so it is trying to represent basically a row data set. So whatever row data set that we have, so it is trying to represent into a x-axis, and whatever corresponding data set we have, so it is trying to represent into a y-axis. This is what it does by default. So we are trying to give like a TS or like the data that we have generated or plot, and it will be able to plot automatically. And the basic reason behind this one is, so whatever point you are able to see, so whatever point, because this entire graph is made up of a dots, I can say. So whatever point you will be able to see in this graph, so this point is nothing but it is having this x-axis and y-axis. So if I know the x-axis and y-axis value at any point of a time, I will be able to connect any kind of a dots. And this is what we are trying to do in case of a graph. So we know our x-axis. So our x is nothing but this particular range of the date that we have, and our y-axis is nothing but the data that we have chosen over here. So it is going to plot this entire things, and it is going to like stitch each and every dots that we have, and finally we'll be able to get a trend of the data. So by looking into this trend of the data, so I will be able to perform my own analysis at any point of a time. So if I'm going to see all of those data, so I will be able to get some intuition that, okay, so at in between this range to this range, my data was having this kind of variation. In between this to this range, my data was having this kind of variation or that kind of variation. And again, if I'll talk about the stock market, same thing happens even into a stock market. So if someone of you used to do a trading, so basically we used to check that what was the trend of the stock in last 5 days or last 1 day. Similar kind of a trend you will be able to generate even over here at any point of a time, I would say. Now, so let's talk about different kind of operations inside this one. So here we are trying to call a plot dot figure, as you can see. Now, so we are trying to call a PLT. So PLT is nothing but the alias that we have given again for the matplotlib. So we are trying to call this plt.figure, and we are trying to define a figure size of 7 cross 5. It's completely fine. So it will be able to basically store these things into this variable. And then we are trying to call plt.plot. Last time we were trying to call data.plot. This time we are trying to call plt.plot. So either way, it's the same thing, I would say. You will be able to do this kind of operation in the exact same way. Now we are trying to pass our data set. So in this way, it will be able to populate one of the graphs, I would say. Now, so after that, what we are trying to do is, so suppose if I wanted to save this graph, so simple, figure dot save fig, and then you will be able to give any kind of instructions like a PNG or JPEG or any kind of other format you will be able to give, and it is going to store your particular graph inside your system. So if I'll talk about this graph, so it must have stored this entire graph into x.png, if I'm correct. So as you can see, so I'm able to store my data over here, and at any point of a time, if I wanted to pull these things in like an Excel sheet or anywhere, I will be able to do that basically. So this is the whole idea behind doing this kind of operations, I can say. Now, so let's talk about, again, I'm talking about like a data frame dot plot, and whenever we are going to call our data frame, so simple, it is going to create a windows, and in your x-axis, so there will be a row, in your y-axis, there will be a data that you have, and you will be able to plot it. Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to load some of the default data sets. So in a Seaborn libraries or in almost every libraries, you will be able to find out some of the default data sets. So here I'm trying to load a simplest possible data set, I would say, by which you can take your baby step to learn this graph, or like to learn a machine learning as well. So which is nothing but a iris data set. So iris data set is all about a flower. So people in in Ireland, so they have collected this data set, and in this data set, so we have basically a three kind of flower: setosa, virginica, and a versicolor. So this data set talks about this three kind of flower, and all of this flower is having a four kind of properties, I can say: a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and a petal width. So basically I'm trying to load this data set. So if you don't want to load this data set, so this data set is an open source data set. Just go to the internet and try to load this data set into a CSV format, and you will be able to get all of those data set as an open source. So it's completely fine. Either you can load from the CSV. I think we know that how to load a data set from the CSV, or else you can load from the Seaborn library. So SNS is nothing but it's a alias for Seaborn that we have given into our very first place over here. So fine, let's talk about that. So here I'm trying to load this iris data set, and as you can see, so it is having a column as a sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and as a species inside this one. So basically it's a flower type: setosa, virginica, and versicolor. You will be able to find in this one. Now, so I have to plot a different kind of a graph. So what I'll do is, so I'm trying to call this iris.plot. I'm trying to give a figure size over here, and I have given title is equal to iris data set. As simple as that. And I'm trying to store these things inside a variable. And for this variable, so I'm trying to set a x-axis label and y-axis label. So I can write anything over here in this place, doesn't matter at all. And as you can see over here, so let me increase the size of this particular graph. So yes, as you can see over here, so it is able to plot all of this graph, and we have given basically a label, x-axis label. So as you can see, this is nothing but the x-axis label that we have, and y-axis label. So this is the y-axis label, and here we have given a title. So this is nothing but the title that you have. And in our iris data set, if you remember, so we were having a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So these were the four column which was available. Now, so we are able to plot all of those four column in this particular places, as you can see in this particular diagram. Now, so if I'll try to show you, so yes, this is the data set that we have as of now. Now, so if you will look into your x-axis range, and if you will look into your y-axis range, so x-axis nothing but, I can say, the total number of the row it is trying to represent, and in y-axis it is trying to represent its own values. So whatever values you have over here, so it is trying to represent into a y-axis for each and every individual column. So here, if I'll try to take an observation from the graph, so I can simply say that, okay, so petal width, basically, so petal width is ranging max to max in between, I can say, a 0 till 2 centimeter. In this case, if I'll try to do an analysis about a petal length, so I can say that, okay, so in between a 0 to almost a 40-45 records, so this was fluctuating in between 2 to 1, but above that, I would say, so in between 40 till this point, so it is fluctuating in between this range, a range of 3 to 5. And if I'll talk about a data set in between 100 and beyond, so it is consisting a data in between this range. So this is some kind of a meaning I will be able to extract, some kind of a dispersion I will be able to extract out of this particular analysis. And that's the reason, so graphs are important. So it's always convince people, or it always try to help you out to convince a people in a easiest possible way, in a way of a visualization. So you will be able to perform each and every operation, I can say. So fine, this is all about, I can say, iris data set. Now, so here what we have done is, so whenever we are trying to call a plot, so by default, basically, so it is going to do this dot kind of a plot, and then it is going to basically combine each and everything. So I will look for one of the variable called as kind over here. So the default kind of the graph that we are trying to plot is a line. Means it will try to draw a dots, and then it will combine each and every dots, and then you will end up getting a lines in this particular places. Now, so basically, here, so it's not only about a lines, you will be able to plot a different kind of a graph as well. So here I'm trying to call a same series data set, and then as I have mentioned over here, kind is equal to bar. So I would like to show you what in all kind it supports. So if you will go into the definition of these things, so you will be able to find out that any graphical algorithm, so any graphs I would say, supports a line, bar horizontal, histogram, box plot, KD plot, density function, area function, and pi. So all of those kind of a formats which has been supported by a matplotlib or any other graph library as well. So here I'm trying to call a kind, and kind is equal to bar. If I'm going to execute it, so it is going to give me all the bars, I would say. So whatever data we had, so based on that, so it is going to give a bar, and the y-axis is nothing but a magnitude, or in terms of a data value I can say. So y-axis is always going to give you the data values at any point of a time, and x-axis is again a same, so it is going to give you a range in between. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I had basically a iris data set, and inside this iris data set, if you remember, so we were having basically a sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and we were having a species over here. Now, so what I'm trying to do in this place is, so I'm trying to drop this species on axis 1. So basically from a column, so I'm trying to drop this species. So again, if I'll try to plot a data frame, so over here, so this is how my data frame looks like after dropping this species. So I just have a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width in front of you. Now, so what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to select a data from a zeroth indexes, means from the zeroth row. And this is what ilog does, as we have already discussed. So it is going to give me basically our first data set that we have for the index is equal to 0. So it is going to give me that data set. Now on top of that data set, so I'm trying to call a bar, because last time I have called a bar and it was not that clear, because it was too clumsy. So we had 1,000 data sets, so this was just trying to create a bar for all the 1,000 data set. But here what I've done is, I'm just trying to select a single row, and based on the single row, so I'm trying to plot a bar. So based on this single row, so I'm trying to plot a bar. So for each and every column, so whatever data we have, so for sepal length, we have magnitude as 5.1. So yes, x-axis is nothing but the indexes, and y-axis nothing but the magnitude. Again, same thing will go for the sepal width, same thing will go for the petal length, and same thing will go for the petal width. So this is how you will be able to create a bar kind of a graph. Now again, I'm trying to perform the same kind of operations. Now here we are trying to load other kind of a data set called as tightening data set. But before moving into that, so anyone who is having any concern, confusion, any kind of a doubts with anything that we are talking about?
Yeah, Sudhanshu, I have one question.
Yeah.
So, like in matplotlib, once in the first matplotlib where you have mentioned the date and time of period followed by something 100 and
yeah, 1,000
that kind of,
basically. Yeah.
So how did the graph consider it as a date of 2020 and so on? Since we have mentioned the date as a data set till
as a indexes actually, so as a indexes,
yeah.
so we have set as a date, and again we are not trying to generate a date out of the string, so we are trying to generate a date, I can say, based on the date range, right? So whenever you are trying to generate a date with the help of date range, so by default system will be able to understand that, okay, so you are trying to play around with the date, and that's the reason, so it is trying to give me even a January, February, and all those things in my data set. So I didn't had basically this Jan 2020 and all those things, but still it is trying to give me Jan 2020. So it is able to understand a dates if I'm trying to create a date by using a date range function.
Okay, and what is the, and why we have used the period equal to 1,000?
So basically what we have to do is, so we have to create 1,000 such dates, right? So we are trying to create our indexes for 1,000 rows.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the reason, so we have given a period. So basically this period is nothing but it's a part of date range function.
Okay, okay, sure. Thank you.
Sudhanshu, in continuation of this question, are those random dates or?
No, so basically it's a consecutive date. We have already given a starting date, and if you try to compare, so it's a consecutive date which it is trying to create.
Okay, okay. Till 1,000, it will add those things.
Yeah, till 1,000, so it will keep on creating consecutive date.
If we want to go to the backward, how we can do that?
So which backward?
That means 6, 7, and the next one is 6, 6, 6, 5, like that.
Okay, so you are saying that if we wanted to go in this way, minus 1,000?
Yeah, that means what I want the result is 0, 6 is the 0, 6, 0, 7 is the first one. and
Okay.
06060605 in that manner. If I want, how I can achieve that?
Okay. So basically, you are saying that you wanted to create 1,000 and frequency is something TZ normalized name close none. Starting point and end point. So find, I will do one thing. So I have given a starting point and I will try to give end point in this case. So in case of an end point, so maybe I can try to give, in reverse direction you wanted to go, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, let me remove this 1,000 because of 1,000 it is giving me an issue. Let's just try to show you only a pandas.date range. Frequency is equal to D in date time indexes. Okay, in reverse direction, it is giving me a blank statement actually.
Okay.
Yeah, in reverse, so it is going to print a blank statement. So it is not going to generate any kind of a date for me. But I don't think it's not possible. It is possible.
Okay.
Period of 1,000 and again a frequency
No,
close.
as you told, I think frequency will work, I think.
Frequency should work. Yes, we can give a date into a reverse direction. So period of 8, and period of 3, and the frequency is equal to month. So this is basically a month, and again date range if I'm looking for. So we are trying to give a starting point and 30, 31. So starting date is this one, frequency is 3. So first month, 4 months, 7 month, and 10. First 4, 7, and again first, 1, 2, 3, 4. First 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. So closed right. First the boundary. No, even they have not given any date range. Now what I can do is I can try to make this as 2 and this as 1. No, in reverse direction, so every time you are going to get like a blank.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not going to give you anything into a reverse direction.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, any other question?
Yes, Sudhanshu, one more. In the iLog, you took the first row, right?
Yes, yeah, in Iris dataset.
Yeah, just I'm parallel executing those things, and I am getting a different color. I'm getting all the rows as blue one only. Is you set anything defaultly?
Or any row blue?
Yeah, that means see sepal length, sepal width, each and everything. I'm getting only blue blocks. No, in the graph,
Okay, so in the graph, right? So basically, like there is something called as I would say, like a background color we used to set, right? Basically, I have set these things for my this notebook, and that's the reason. So like we are able to get a colorful graph. So I'll
How
talk
can we
about
do
that.
that?
So there is a different kind of background color that you will be able to set. Again, like if you wanted to plot this colorful kind of a things, so that is possible basically. So that is called as a beautification into a graphs.
Sir, actually,
Otherwise, so
I didn't
yeah.
but got same colors.
Sorry.
I didn't done any modification, but I got same colors as showing.
Yes, yeah. So in general, so it will try to give you a same colors, but I have done so many modifications with my background colors. So that's the reason. So like it is giving me this kind of a colors. So that is not a big deal. So we are going to talk about this background color set actually. So how to set a background color of any kind of a graphs.
Sudhanshu, why did you drop that last variable, last object, the categorical variable
So
here?
basically, the reason behind that one is so I'm trying to select iLoc of 0, right? So if without dropping this thing, so in a iLoc of 0, can I say that I will be able to get a sepal? So I will be able to get a species column as well.
Yeah, why can't you get this based on dot lock 0?
Okay, so suppose if I'm not trying to drop this one, okay, so what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to take a same old data set. So fine, let's do one thing. So let's try to take a same one iris data set we have. So I'm going to do every plot on a iris. So iris is a default I'm going to take now. So if I'm going to write iris of log of 0, iris iris.
Lock of 0.
Okay, so if I'm going to give this one, so fine, it is going to plot something like that one. And if I'm going to plot this iris data set over here, suppose if I'm going to select this iris data set, and if I'm going to replace these things, okay, something is wrong with my system. If I'm trying to use IRIS, basically. So in this case, what will happen is, so it is empty data frame, no numeric data to plot. So basically, it always look for, I can say, a numeric data set. So if numeric data set is not available, so in that case, for sure, it is going to give me issue. And here, as you can see, so we have a data type as an object, and because of this setosa, because I have not dropped this one, so it was not converted into a numeric, and that's the reason. So I have basically dropped it first of all, and then I'm trying to select ilog of 0, which is nothing but a first row which I'm trying to select, and then I'm trying to plot a graph. Making sense? Yes.
Yes, Sudhan.
Yeah. So basically, like in a y-axis, if I'm going to call this data frame over here, so in a y-axis, what I can say is, so it is nothing but it is going to print the values, I would say, or the magnitude of the graph. So again, if I don't have like a magnitude over there, so what it is going to print? Nothing in this case, and that's the reason. So we are like trying to drop it. Now here again, I'm trying to perform a same kind of operation, as you can see. So data frame dot ilog of 0, and then I'm trying to plot a bar. So maybe I can call just a bar, and then I will be able to call this data, or else I can call bar as a method, and in that case the same thing will happen, I would say. So I think I have made some changes, and because of that, it is just going to give me only one. Bar is there, then this one is there, fine. Okay, load it. Yeah, so just wait a few seconds, it will be able to load. Yeah, got back my data. Okay, fine. Moving forward, so here again, so we are trying to load a data set called as Titanic. So like a Seaborn library, load data set. Again, Titanic is an open source data set, so you can load a CSV file as well, and then you will be able to perform all of those operations. There is no problem with that. So I'm trying to call this Seaborn, and then I'm trying to load all of those data. This is how my data set looks like. So inside my data set, so I have these many number of the columns. Now what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to call basically a passenger class column. So we have a passenger class column, and as we can see, so we have basically a 3 class of passenger. So class 1, class 2, and class 3. Now, so I'm trying to call a plot in this particular place, and I'm trying to call a bar plot. So I'm looking for a bar plot. If I'm going to remove these things, so it is going to do a line plot for me by default. But if I'm going to specifically define that, okay, do one thing, so go for the bar plot. So in that case, it is going to create a bar. So stage wise bar it is going to create, because we have a class 1, we have a class 2, and we have a class 3. So finally, you are going to get a bar for this passenger classes. So as you can see over here, so it is going to give you a bar for all the passenger classes that we have. And in your x-axis, so basically it is going to give you the indexes. So in whatever indexes we have a data 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in a y-axis, so it is just going to give you, okay, fine. So this is the passenger class 1, this is the passenger class 2, this is the passenger class 3. Now, so here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to call a random function. So basically it is going to generate a random number, I would say, a 10 cross 4 matrices it is going to generate, first of all, and then I'm trying to set a column name in this place. So column name is nothing but ABCD, because we have defined a 4 column in this place. And I'm trying to call a data frame dot head. So it is going to give me all those first 10 data sets. So I'm just trying to create one simple data frame where I will be able to perform all of those graphical operation. Then I'm trying to call a data frame dot plot dot bar. So if I'm going to call a data frame dot plot dot bar, so in that case, it is going to consider all of these 4 columns that we have, and it is going to plot each and every 4 columns for me. And again, by default, it is trying to give me a notation for a column A, column B, and it is going to give me a notation for a column C. In your x-axis, so again, it is trying to take all the indexes, and in your y-axis, so column wise, so it is just trying to show you the magnitude. So again, you will be able to see that some of them are having a magnitude into a negative direction. So we have a graph into a negative direction, and some of them is having a magnitude in positive direction. So we are getting a positive direction as well. Now, so if I'll talk about this index wise, so at index 0, if I'll talk about just one particular point, so on index 0, so basically this is the data that we have from A column, from B column, from C column, from D column. So for A columns, we were having a negative data 1.6 negative, and then like in a B, so we were having a 0.46, so we are able to plot this 0.46. Then we have basically a negative data, so we have this one, so like 0.12 negative, and then we have a negative as 1.3. So we have this negative data into this direction. So this is what basically it is going to perform in this particular cases. And for all the indexes, so this is how it is going to plot the data. So till its 9th indexes, which is nothing but a 10th data set, so it is going to give me all of those plots. Now again, so this is one way of writing a code. Other way is, so here I'm trying to call data frame dot plot, and then I'm trying to call bar. Otherwise, what you can do is, it's a similar kind of operation we are trying to perform. So data frame dot plot, and then inside that, as an argument, you can try to mention kind is equal to bar, and these two data sets and these two graph is exactly the same. There is no difference in between at any point of time. Now, so we were talking about a bar. Again, there is something called as a bar edge. So basically it's nothing but a bar horizontal. So it will try to flip this entire graph that we have plotted, so far so forth, and it is going to give you this kind of a graph. So there is no difference between the above graph and this one. So the only difference in between is, so one is just a vertical, another one is just a horizontal, nothing else. Now, so there is something called as a histogram which exists. So now let's try to understand that what is the meaning of histogram. And so many times we are going to use histogram, and in general people uses a histogram. I would say histogram is having so much of significance. So what I am trying to do in this place is, so I'm trying to plot this histogram, as you can see. So it is going to give you a frequency into a y-axis and in a x-axis. So it is trying to give you a ranges. Now let's try to understand what I'm talking about. So here, as you can see, so we have in our data set as a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So these were the 4 columns that we had. Now, so here histogram is trying to tell me that, okay, so in between, I can say a range of 0 to 1 as a petal width, because red color is representing the petal width. So in between 0 to 1 of a petal width, so basically I have almost around 40 or 50 data set, I can say. So basically we have in between 0 to 1 range, I have a 50 data set into a petal width. In between, I can say this to this range on a y-axis. So I have these many data sets. Again, in between these to this, so I have basically these my data set. So y-axis in a histogram always represents a frequency in that particular range, the occurrences into that particular ranges, and x-axis always try to identify a range between a data. So all the dispersion range it is going to calculate, and then it will try to divide the entire graph in between those ranges. So this is how histogram works, and this is how like we'll be able to perform this operation. Again, histogram is pretty insightful and pretty, I would say, a helpful graph at any point of a time, and we are going to use so many times these kind of a graphs. Now iris.plot and kind is equal to histogram. So same thing we are trying to perform. The only minor syntax changes is there, I can say. Now here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to plot this iris.plot, and as a kind, so we are trying to give histogram. So fine, now we understand that what is the meaning of histogram. So in a x-axis, so it is going to give you a ranges. In a y-axis, so it is going to give you the total, I can say, so like number of frequency in between or number of occurrences in between that range. So here, as you can see, so I'm trying to call stacked is equal to true, and I'm trying to call bins is equal to 30. So bins is equal to 30 is nothing but it is going to define the size of the particular graph. So if I'm going to make a bins is equal to 20, so you will be able to feel all of those things by yourself. So if I'm going to make bins is equal to 10, so as you can see, so if I'm trying to decrease the bin, so in that case the width of a particular bar is going to increase. If I'm going to make it as a 100 maybe, so you will be able to see a very clear diagram over here. So as you can see, I've just made 100, and then bins is equal to, so bins has basically increased and the width of this graph or the bar has decreased. So this is how I can use these things for the beautification. Now stacked is equal to true. So if I'm going to make it as a false, so in that case, it will not going to show any kind of a stacks overflow. So as you can see, so just try to like look into this particular region of the graph when stack is equal to false. And again, I'm going to make this as true. So you can just try to observe the differences. So what I'm talking about basically. So as you can see, so last time, so it was not trying to stack on top of the previous graphs. So if there is a graph behind a graph, so if stack is equal to false, so it will not show you any graph, whatever, so any graph behind any other graphs. So if suppose red is a bigger one and green is a smaller graph, so the basically green will not be able to show itself in a front end, I would say. So it will be available into a backside of this longer graph that we have, or the graph which is having a better size. So it's always good to use this parameter stack is equal to true, so that whatever bigger graph you have, so it is going to show it into a backend, and then whatever like small graph you have, so it is going to present itself into a front end. Now, so this is all about the stack is equal to true. Now here I'm trying to use the same thing, bins is equal to 50. The only thing which I have changed is the horizontal orientation. So it is going to flip this entire graph and then it is going to show you. So as simple as that. So we are able to get all of those graphs. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to call this iris data set a sepal width column, I would say, and I'm trying to find out the difference. So differences is nothing but a difference between the previous data and the current one. So here I'm just trying to find out the differences between the data set, and then so I'm trying to call this differences. So this is the data which it is going to generate, and then I'm trying to plot it in a kind of a histogram. Stacked is equal to true, bins is equal to 50. So basically it is going to print all of those graphs. So as you can see, so if I'm trying to find out the differences between like a next data and the previous one, so in that case, some of the differences will be negative as well. And if I'm trying to plot a histogram, so it is trying to tell me that in between this range to this range, so I have some data set basically. So in between this -1 range, I would say, so we have some data set which is having a magnitude of this one, which is occurring 2 number of times or 4 number of times or 1 number of times, and all those things. This is what I can say I'm trying to do in this particular case. Nothing else based on my imagination. So we are just trying to plot a graphs. Now, so anyone who is having any questions, any concerns, anything?
This matplotlib versus data frame pandas. When are we using pandas? Data frame to plot a graph, and when are we using PLT?
Basically, there is no comparison between matplotlib and pandas. First of all, pandas is been used for the data manipulation, whereas matplotlib has been used for the data visualization. So here we are using a pandas to create a data frame, and on top of that, so we are trying to create a graphs by using a matplotlib. So we can't say anything about a matplotlib versus pandas. It will come all together at same point of time.
So okay. Then you have not described any legend over there, but default it has picked like
by default it is coming. So again, yes, I know that. So I have not.
It has been taken.
Yes, yeah.
And if we have two categorical variables, what is the default one it will be picking up?
If we have a two categorical variable.
I mean to say two objects. If we have, what is the default it will be picking? Right now it is we have only one categorical variable, it has taken the default as a legend. I mean,
Okay. So you are saying that, okay, so in two columns, so suppose if we have two column in these two columns, so we have these two categorical variable. So in that case, which one it is going to pick as a legend? I think this is your concern, right?
correct.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, like, yeah, so here it has taken all of those things by default, and for sure whenever you have a two category variable, so it is not going to pick this as a legend, because it will be confused that, okay, so which one I should use as a legend. So in that case there won't be any legend, it is going to show. Now you will have to showcase your legend by yourself in that way, basically. So you can define your own legend and you can say that, okay, fine, so I wanted to keep this as a legend, and then you will be able to plot a graph. Making sense? We have that example as well sometime, where I'm defining my own legend and again the position of the legend, I can say. Fine.
Okay.
Making sense? Yeah.
What is the difference between bar plot and histogram? And there was this figure that you have used, figure parameter.
What is the difference between matplotlib histogram and?
No, bar plot and histogram.
Okay, bar plot and histogram, right? So see, a bar plot is simple, I would say. So fine, let's get back to our data set. So bar plot is nothing but just a simple representation of your x-axis and y-axis. That's it. So suppose if I'm talking about this one, right? So in our x-axis, as you can see, it has taken the indexes. Agree? It has taken basically our indexes, and in our y-axis, it is trying to take my magnitude. Magnitude of what? Magnitude of this one. So suppose if I'm talking about index 0, so for index 0, so it is trying to plot all of those columns. Fine?
Okay.
So it's a simple representation of your x-axis and y-axis, whereas x-axis is nothing but your index and y-axis by default is nothing but the column that you have given the values. Now, if I'll talk about a histogram, so basically histogram is a bit different over here. So in case of a histogram, so in an x-axis, it never takes a indexes. It always takes a range of the data, a dispersion range of the data. So in between which range to which range, I have a data, I would say. Now, so for example, so if I'm going to take some data set, maybe like 1, then 2, then 4, and then 8, again 1, and then like 4, then 5. Suppose I wanted to create a histogram, right? In this case, so what is the range of the data in which I have, like, my data is fluctuating? Yes.
1 to 8.
Between 1 and 8.
Between 1 to 8. So let's suppose we are trying to create a boundary condition of 2 2. So 1, then okay. So basically like a 0, 2, and then 4, and then 6, and then 8. Fine. Now, so between 0 to 2, how many data set we have?
3.
4.
Fine. So I'm trying to create basically a x-axis, and I have basically a y-axis. So someone is saying that between 0 to 2, so we have basically this data, this data, this data, and we have this data set, right? So we have basically 4 data sets. So find y-axis is nothing but starting from 0 to, I can say, a 4, I can say a 6. So basically between 0 to 2, so I have 4 data set. So I'm going to plot this graph in this way. Fine. Now, so between 2 to 4, how many data set we have?
3.
3.
Okay, fine. So we are going to plot something like that. Between 4 to 6?
3.
3.
Okay. In a rhythm. And again, between like the 6 to 8, we have 1 data set, right?
1.
Yeah. So basically what I was trying to explain is okay, histogram is nothing but, so in your y-axis, histogram always try to represent the frequency of occurrences in between a particular range. Is it clear now?
Yeah. So that's one more question.
Yeah.
And
Can we change the frequency to x-axis and our sepal width or some column to y-axis?
Sorry, can we change what?
In histogram,
Yeah.
can we change the frequency by default to x-axis and our customized column to y-axis? Is it that possible?
In that, so if you are able to rotate your data frame, if you are able to make your row as a column, column as a row, that is possible. So just you have to call a function called as transpose or dot capital T.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that case, yes, that will be possible for sure. In that case, your row will be column, column will be row, then call a histogram, and then you will be able to get a kind of a different kind of a graph in histogram.
does orientation not do that?
Orientation is not going to do that. Orientation simply try to rotate a actual graph. So it is not going to rotate your data set. there is a difference, I would say. Rotation of the data and rotation of the graph, I would say. Yeah.
But Sudhanshu, we are using the data frame, so how can we use the transpose function since it is related to matrix?
So in that case, you are supposed to convert your data frame into a numpy matrices, and numpy matrices, I think we will be able to plot even into a matplotlib. That is also possible.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So conversion wise, we can do this kind of a conversion. Yeah. Tell me.
The difference keyword in the supple width dot difference DAFF.
So difference keyword is nothing but, so like it is going to take a first data set, and then it is, so suppose I have a data set. Okay, let me give you example here itself. So here we have basically a data. So in our iris data set, sepal width, if I'll try to recall, where is my difference? So if I'm trying to select basically iris data frame, right? And over here, so what is the first data? 3.5, right? Second data, we have a 3. Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here I have done difference. So basically it is going to, like it is going to subtract, I would say, 3.5 to null, right? So in that case, what is the value? NN. So yes, we are able to get NN. Now NN. Now it is going to basically make a difference of this data set to this data set. So basically 3 minus n minus 1. So basically this is the nth record, right? This minus this. What is the difference? Minus 5, right? And then so on. So this minus this. So 0.2. So yes, we are able to get 0.2, right? That's the difference.
Okay.
Can we have difference of 2?
Difference of
2.
2 means?
The 3.5 should negate with 2 records on the top.
Okay, so in that case, you'll have to write your own custom logic. I think we talked about apply function, so in that case, we'll go for that one.
How about, sorry.
Yeah.
How about the figure parameter?
Sorry, how about the?
Figure, F-I-G-U-R-E, figure.
Okay, figure parameter. Okay, I think your job is done. Difference of 2 who were asking for.
Yes, it's done, right.
Okay, so period I can give. Yeah, next question was, what was that figure, right? Someone asking about figure. What figure?
Yes.
Figure I have used like just to shape this one. So, okay, figure 2 parameter that you're talking about, the 8 into something which I was trying to give, 5
exactly.
That is nothing but respective window size. So if you are going to, if you are going to take a more number of window size, in that case, it is going to give you a graphs into a bigger plot. So like if I'll talk about any of our examples that we have taken, so figure 8 cross 8, right? So this is the data that we have. This is the graph that we have. Suppose if we are going to give 28, right? So in case of 28, so as you can see, so it has increased the window size. Making sense? So x comma y basically. So x is nothing but your horizontal axis and y is nothing but vertical axis. So if I'm going to increase x, so it is going to increase the length of the x axis. If I'm going to increase y, so it is going to increase the length of the y axis. Making sense, everyone? Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell me about periods?
Which one? In time series, like in date range, or which one? The period that I have used just now in a difference, or which one?
In the difference.
In difference is nothing but, suppose we wanted to make a difference of previous 2. So in that case, I can call a period of 2, period of 3, period of anything, I would say. So basically, if I'll recall this data set, so let's try to recall. So this is the data set that we have, as you can see. And here what I have done is, so I have taken a difference of 2. By default, I was taking a difference of 1. And in that case, it was trying to subtract a data from the previous one, I would say. So here what I have done is, so I have taken a difference of basically, I can say period of 2 I have taken in this place. So first is fine, second is fine. Let's talk about this third one. So third data set was basically 3.2. Now, so it is going to subtract not 3.0, so it is going to subtract basically 3.5. So 3.2 minus 3.5 is equal to this one. Now, so for this 3.1, so it is going to subtract from 3.0, and that's the reason. So we are getting this one. So this is what is called as a difference. So period of 2 means, so we are not trying to make a difference from n minus 1. So basically we are trying to make a difference from n minus 2. Get it?
Okay, so difference dot diff is a function, right?
Diff is a function, yes, yeah, diff is a function for
Okay.
subtraction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
And hi Sudhanshu, can we do annotation on these graphs describing what is going to do?
Yes, you can do it for sure, and I think we have done that, right? Annotation. So, like a simple title, you will be able to add for sure, and I think we have done these things in many places. So let me show you that. So title is equal to Irish data set. So here we have given Irish data set, right? As you can see.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Again, if I wanted to give annotation for x-axis, y-axis, so yes, I am giving that as well, right?
Yeah.
Suppose
If I need description in title place, I'll give the description.
anything, whatever you are looking for. So see, I'm giving my y-axis name, right? I'm giving my x-axis name, as you can see, right?
Correct. Thank you.
Right. So you can give any kind of description. Whatever beautification you are looking for, you will be able to do that. But as a data scientist, what I consider is, so yeah, if I'm able to plot a graph, if I'm able to see my data set in terms of a graph, that is completely fine for me. Beautification, like, yeah, anything you can do that. Now, so moving forward, here we are trying to drop basically a species column, and then if I'm trying to call a difference over here, so this is how my data set looks like basically. So I think we all understand what is the meaning of difference in this place. Now, so someone was talking about different kind of a backgrounds. So basically, there is something called a style which is available inside a matplotlib, and there are like so many styles which is available. And again, like it's very tough to remember a name of the styles. So if you will go over to the Google, and then if you will try to search the styles which is available inside a matplotlib, so you will be able to get all of those styles. Matplotlib. So it is going to give you basically the entire list of all the style which is available. So these are the list which is available. Now styling wise, so I will be able to change a background color, foreground color. I will be able to do anything, whatever I'm looking for. So suppose if I'm choosing maybe a ggplot or dark background, so it will be able to implement that kind of a dark background to my graph. So if I'm going to execute it, so as you can see, my style had changed basically. So you're not supposed to remember it. You're just supposed to know that, okay, so styling is possible and there are different kind of styling which is available now. So simple plot.style.uses and use dark background. I can use any kind of a different styling, and that is completely fine. I'm just supposed to change the parameter, as you can see. So many kind of styling is possible, beautification is possible, and you will be able to do that. Here what I'm trying to do is, so here I'm trying to call a data frame, the previous data frame that we had, and we are trying to call a difference, and we are trying to call a basically a histogram I'm trying to plot, and color is equal to red. So I want all of my graph to be available into a red color, or maybe if I want a blue, then I can give a blue. You can give a color code as well. You can just copy and paste from any of the HTML site, and then you can give a color code, completely fine. Now alpha is nothing but a transparency, I would say, and density of the color is been measured by alpha. If I'm going to give 0.1 over here, you will be able to see our differences. Now you will not be even able to visualize the graph. Already graph is there, but you will not be able to visualize. If I'm going to make alpha is equal to 5, so in that case you will be able to see a graph like with some color. If I'm going to give maybe alpha is equal to 0.9, so you will be able to get this graph very clearly over here into a blue color. I can say figure size nothing but the total window size. I can say x column and y x axis and y axis, that we can understand. And g order is nothing but, so we are just trying to give this entire order, that okay fine, so in this case, so just try to plot a graph. So as simple as that. So many things are possible, I can say. So this is not the only kind of a style which is possible, but yeah, successfully column wise, for each and every column, so I am able to draw a histogram, as you can see. Now, so again, here what we are trying to do is, so there is another kind of a graph which is a scatter plot. Yeah. Yes.
Why is returning an object?
Sorry?
So every time we are executing plots, we place a little bit. Sorry, move that a bit.
I think he's asking for Z order.
Okay, are you talking about a Z order?
Yes.
Location, these things.
Sorry?
Matplotlib access dot supply.
No, which one? This one?
He's talking about the output.
So, okay, fine.
Array
He's
we are
talking about this one. So it's
this
just an
thing.
object representation. This is just a notation it is going to give you, nothing else. So nothing related to this graph, obviously, I would say.
That's
So nothing related to this picture, I can say. Simple
that's
object.
a memory, right?
Sorry?
That's a memory points, correct?
That's basically a matplotlib object which it has created. So for every graph, so basically we are trying to create a 2x2 graph, I would say. So in 2x2, so we have 1 and 2 graph in 1x1, and the other cross we have these two graphs. So it is just trying to give you that, okay, fine. So like this is the object which I'm trying to hold for this
Is
graph.
there
This is
any
not this is just a memory location which is giving you for the matplotlib object. That's it.
And if Z order is placed, then what will happen?
So basically, if you are going to place a Z order, so in between, so it's just going to do the ordering things, nothing else. So even without Z order, you will not be able to see any kind of a changes, I would say. But yeah, so Z order, just try to order this entire graphs. And let's talk about this base, I would say. So let's suppose I have removed this Z order, right? Now let's see the changes. Z order is equal to this one. So we have 0 to 50, 0 to 50, minus 2, all of these graphs that we have. Now, if we are going to place Z order, I don't think it is going to make any changes. Maybe I have given at some point of a time. It has been used for ordering, but again, it's not mentioned in the documentation of matplotlib. Petal length, petal width, sepal length, sepal width. Petal length, petal width, sepal length, sepal width. Okay, no idea what it's trying to do. So I don't think it is trying to affect any of our data set or any of the graph with or without a Z order. Z
So I
order
have one question.
5. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so like we are using matplotlib, seaborn, and different type of plot as well, whether it is a bar
Plot,
chart or
plotly,
histogram and so on.
couplings. Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of data set and what kind of columns do we need to apply a specific generally bar chart, generally graph?
No, so basically this a question should not be asked in this way. So basically depends upon my requirement. Suppose if I wanted to know that how my data set is been dispersed, right? So in that case,
Okay.
basically I will end up plotting a scatter plot, right? Now, so if I wanted to know that, okay, so in between this to this range, so what is the frequency of the data that we are able to get? In that case, I will end up getting a basically a histogram. So if I wanted to know that, okay, so like what is a kind of a like a kind of an increment or decrement inside my data set for a certain columns, right? So in between certain range, so in that case I will end up plotting a line, basically a line graph. So it depends upon the requirement, what kind of a visualization you wanted to do, and again based on that visualization you are going to call that kind of a graphs.
Okay, and one more thing, is it depend upon the categorical data will be having some different graph and
Yes,
numerical?
categorical data will be having certain different graphs. So basically, categorical data you will be able to find mostly into a x-axis, I would say. But yes, we can plot it into a y-axis. So categorical means what? So I wanted to know that, okay, so for this category, how many data set we have? So in histogram, I can easily represent a categorical data, I would say. So for this to this range, so we have this particular, so for a sepal length or sepal width, or suppose if I'm trying to plot even a bar plot. So for this particular X means for this particular name, X name, so how many, or what is the magnitude? I will be able to plot it and you are going to see all of those things. So with categorical data also, we'll be able to perform a lots of operations.
Okay,
Which is,
thank
which
you
is
for
already.
addressing.
Now, so here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to call another kind of a graph called as scatter plot. A scatter plot is nothing but all the dots it is going to represent. So we have seen a line plot. Line plot is nothing but combination of all the dots. Scatter plot is just, it is going to like, so basically if you have a x-axis, if you have a y-axis, just going to put a dots over there. That's it's called, that's it. That is called as a scatter plot, I would say. So here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to give our x as a sepal length and y as a petal length. So basically I have a coordinate, x coordinate, y coordinate, and then it is going to do this kind of operation. And I clearly see over here that there is a correlation between a sepal length and a petal length in between this range. And again, I'm able to see that there is some linearity in between a sepal length and petal width over here in this particular range. So this is what I will be able to understand out of this entire scenario, I can say. So yeah, it helps, I would say, most of the times. Again, I'm trying to call this a scatter plot, and I'm trying to use another column called as sepal width. Now let's try to understand this one because it creates some confusion all the time, I would say. So here what we are trying to do is, so we are trying to take a sepal length and petal length as a x and y axis. So fine, we have a x axis and we have a y axis where we are trying to take a sepal length and sepal width. Now, so we have taken another column as a sepal width. So basically, what I am trying to represent over here is, so this is a sepal width that we are trying to take. So in between this 2 to 2.5 of sepal width, so what was the sepal length and petal length, and how my sepal length and petal length is been dispersed in between 2 to 2.5 of the sepal width. So this is how my data has been dispersed, I would say. Now, so in between these to this range, how my sepal length and sepal width is been dispersed. So this is what I'm trying to represent in this way. So basically, I'm trying to plot my sepal length and petal length over here as compared to, so on like as compared to a sepal width. So you can say that sepal width is a z axis, and based on z axis how my x axis and y axis varies. This is what I'm trying to plot over here inside this particular scatter plot. Is it making sense, everyone? Okay, moving forward, so we have like a data frame over here. So fine, now what we're trying to do is, so we are trying to call basically a sepal length, we are trying to call a petal length over here, and we are trying to call a label is equal to length basically. So here what will happen is, if I'm going to execute it, so label is equal to length that it has given already, and this is just a legend kind of a things it is going to create. It's not exactly a legend, but yeah, so like it has created these things for us, and we are trying to give our x-axis, y-axis as sepal length and a petal length, as you can see. Now, so here again I'm trying to plot a scatter plot. Sepal length I have given, petal length I have given, c means z axis I have given, s is equal to 250 I have given, means a size, so size of the dots. So if you are going to make it as a 25, so in this case size of the dot will be small. If you are going to make as a like a bigger one, so size of the dot will be bigger, as simple as that. So I'm just trying to control the size of the dots that it is going to like a plot, nothing else. Now, so here what I'm trying to do is, so I was trying to plot this scatter plot. Now similar to a scatter plot, so there is something called as a hexa bin which is available. So what it will do is, it will try to basically plot all those data in terms of a hexa bin. Grid size, just remove this one. Okay, so as you can see, this is basically a hexagonal. So instead of drawing this circle, so it is just going to draw this particular hexagon. And again, you can control the size with the help of a grid size. So what is the size of the grid? As simple as that. Now here again, I'm trying to like call basically my data frame.ilog. So I'm trying to call my first row over here. And this is something which I'm able to get. So like a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So we were talking about basically a scatter plot. We were talking about basically a hexagonal plot. We were talking about a histogram line plot, I can say, a bar plot, I can say. Now here we have a pie plot. So again, pie plot, if we are talking about, so I have called my data set plot.py, and if I'm going to execute it, so pie plot always try to plot data based on its, I can say, contribution towards the whole data set. So here, if you will try to do a summation of 5.1, 3.5, 1.4, and 0.2, so basically it is going to give you how much? So the summation of this one is equal to, I can say, 12 and dot this. So 10.2 it is going to give you basically. Now, so basically it is going to decide that what is our area that it is going to take, what is the area it is going to take. So basically area taken by this 5.1 will be nothing but 5.1 divided by this 2. So again, I can say that it is 1 by 2 is equal to 50% area it is going to take, I can say, of this entire circle. So this is how you can represent. Again, same thing will happen. So for 3.5, so it will be 3.5, I would say, divided by 10.2, and whatever area it is like whatever things is going to pop up, so it is going to take that as an area. So this is how I can say a pie plot happens, a pretty simple graph, I would say. So as you can see, for sepal length, sepal width, petal width, so for everything, so it is just trying to plot each and everything. Now what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to transpose this entire data set, and this is the data set that we are able to get. So we have basically a sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and we have just transposed it. So we have whatever data we have generated. So we are just trying to, so head of three data, so first three records we are trying to generate, and we are just trying to transpose it. So here, as you can see, so basically like I'm having a sepal length, sepal width, and petal width. And here basically I have index. So I have made indexes as a column, and I can say a column as an indexes. Now what I'm going to call in this place is, so I'm trying to call a data frame dot plot dot py, and I'm trying to call subplot is equal to true. So last time I was trying to plot everything inside the single one. Here I'm trying to call subplot is equal to true, and figure size we have given as 20 cross 20. So in this case, what will happen is, so I'm trying to plot basically all of this plot for three columns. So column number 0, column number 1, column number 2. So same thing will happen. So for every column, so it is trying to find out the addition operations, so addition of each and everything. And then based on the percentage of contributions, it is going to plot a graph. So this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, which it is going to plot based on column number 0, 1, and 2. As simple as that. And again, on top of that, so it is going to print all those legend things by default, I would say. Now here what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to use a same graph, and I'm trying to use this autopact is equal to 0.2f. So in this case, what will happen is, so whatever it is going to take as a percentage, so it is going to show you a percentage till 2 decimal point. So 2 floating points. So it is going to show you all of those percentage. And as you can see, so for every like a percentage of the area that it has taken, so it is going to take till 2 decimal points. As simple as that. Now, so here what I can say is, so I'm trying to generate a series of this data set. And indexes I have taken as A, B, C, D, E. So A, B, C, D, E. And then I'm trying to use a pie plot. So in this case, it is going to basically plot all of this data, which is having a 20%, 20%, 20% contribution. And then it is, you will be able to get this kind of a final outcome. So anyone who is having any doubts, any difficulties, anything?
Yeah, could you please scroll up?
Okay.
Yeah, you have used the 3D axis, right? Sepal length, width, and height, something.
Yeah. So yes.
Yes, in that, what the intuition we are getting, I did not get that one.
No,
when you are using the
basically
z-axis,
yeah.
when
So basically,
you are using the z-axis as yeah, please continue.
Okay, see what I'm trying to do over here is, so I'm trying to create a 3 columns, column 0, column 1, column 2. Agree?
No, not this one, the top one.
Okay, so before that?
Scatter plot.
Okay, fine. This one.
Yeah, the z-axis. Yeah.
Okay, z-axis, right? Okay, so intuition is very simple over here. Let's try to understand it. So whenever we say C, right? So basically, I'm trying to take a sepal width. Now, so sepal width will be having certain range, right? So certain range in terms of maybe a sepal width will be having 0 to 2 of range. And in between that particular sepal width of range, 0 to 2, so can I say that there must be some sepal length and petal length?
Yes.
Agree?
Agree, yeah.
Yeah, so this is what we are so in between 0 to 2.5, so whatever sepal length and petal length you are going to get, so it is going to represent that in your x and y coordinate. So this is what will happen in case of this scatter plot.
So you mean to say that these scatters, what we are getting the data points here,
yeah,
they
so
are
basically the data point on your z-axis in between 2 to 2.5. Okay.
So these are correlated with petal length and
These
sepal length.
are, yeah, basically the sepal width. So basically I can say the sepal length and petal length that we are using over here. So basically these are the sepal length and petal length which is coming under this sepal width, I can say. So sepal width of from 2 to 2.5. So this is the data sepal length and petal length we are able to get. So this is what I'm trying to correlate over here.
So, so the lower range what we are seeing here, the three are very much correlated. You are saying, right?
Exactly, yeah. So first of all, it will try to find out a sepal width. So whatever we have given into a z-axis, right? So basically this is the 3D data, but I'm trying to represent into a 2D. So I will show you even how to represent into a 2D, but here just try to understand these things that in sepal width, so whatever data we are getting in between, let's suppose 2 to 2.5, right? So correspond to that. So whatever data we have inside a sepal length and petal length, I'm just trying to plot. Yeah.
Okay, Sudhanshu, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So anyone else who is having any problem, any issue?
Sudhanshu?
Yeah.
Grid size and only size you have mentioned grid size and
So size I have mentioned actually with respect to this circular one, and wherever I am going to use, wherever I am using a scatter, so at that point of time I have used a size, and wherever I have used a hexabin, then I have used basically a grid size. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone who is having any other question?
Yes, Sudhanshu.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Sudhanshu, can we increase the columns to plot? That means we are
Can
having
we?
sepal length, petal length, and sepal width, right?
Okay.
Can we
Yeah.
increase the dimensions?
Dimension in terms of?
X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. We are mentioning, right?
Yeah, so basically this is what we have used over here, X, Y, and C, right? So C, I'm trying to say that this is basically a scale. So on this scale, basically,
Yeah.
like, yeah, so on this scale, so see, it's a very simple thing, I would say. So
Yeah.
can I say that we have three columns, let's suppose, only three columns. Let's suppose we
Okay.
don't have a fourth column. So we just have a sepal length, petal length column, and sepal width column, right? So
Okay.
in
Okay.
sepal length column, I have some data set, in between some range, in between petal lengths, I have some data set, in between sepal width, I have some data set, right?
Yeah.
So can I say that for certain range of a sepal width, I will be having data inside a sepal length and petal length? Okay.
Yeah.
If this is not working fine for you guys, then what I can do is, so suppose if I'm trying to use sepal length over here, simple, I'm using basically a petal length over here, and I'm using a sepal width over here. Fine.
Yeah.
Now, so here what I can do is, so I can basically take maybe a 0.2, 0.4, 0.5, 0.8, 0.9, and again let's suppose I am taking 0.1 minus 2 and something like that, although it's not be minus 0.3, any random data I'm trying to pick, 0.8, 0.9, and here let's suppose I have a 0.8, 0.2, 1.2, 1.3. So if I will talk about a range in between 0.2 to 0.4, right? So can I
Yeah.
say that I have some coordinates?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and this is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to represent. So in between whatever coordinates we have, so we are trying to represent over here. So can I say that in between 0.5 to 0.8, again we have certain coordinates?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So is it clear
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Only my concern here is if I am having some other dependent variable depending on these three, can we project it for four variables?
The fourth one, right? No, fourth one you
Yes.
can't project basically.
Okay. Only three is the axis that we can project.
Maximum, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sudhanshu, so can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah, I can hear you, Raghu.
So the petal length is on the y-axis, and the sepal length is on the x-axis, correct?
Yeah.
And the sepal width is on the z-axis.
Yeah, on the z-axis, this one, yes, yeah.
Okay. So for all the three together, they have a measurement scale showing the density.
So basically,
of,
yeah, so whatever sepal width this person will be having, suppose in this case, so basically I have taken a sepal width in between 0.2 to 9, right? So here it has taken from here till here. So whatever this person range, like my sepal width was having. So based on that, it is trying to plot it.
Okay.
Okay. Doubts?
Yeah, Sudhanshu, I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, for example, if you consider the z-axis, we mentioned from 2.0, 2.53, right?
Yeah.
Can we invert it? I mean, reverse it?
Okay, so you wanted to take into, so which one you wanted to consider as what? Just tell me, I can reverse it. Simple.
Yeah, for the C column, petal width, I will start from 4.0, 3.5 like that.
For C column, 4 dot, no, I didn't get that.
See, actually, if you see that sepal width axis, it
Yeah.
started with 2.0,
Yes.
2.5, 3,
Yes.
like that, right?
Yes. So because in my sepal width, so my data was starting from 2. So that's the reason. So automatically we'll try to take a scale as 2. And my
Yeah,
data was ending till 5. Yeah.
yeah, can we descend it? That's what my question is.
Okay. So in reverse direction.
Yeah.
I think that is possible, but I've never done that.
Okay.
Maybe you can try this out. Yeah. But I think it's possible.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Not even
Thank
if not in this way, so maybe we can try to reverse the data itself and then we'll try to plot a simple normal graph in that way.
Okay, okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So Sudhanshu, I have one question.
Yeah, go
So
ahead, please.
like we are using different graphs. So what are the predominant parameter do we mostly need to use? Like
Simple x and y. So suppose like simple, let's say graph is nothing but a coordinates dots, I would say, right? So again, the predominant thing is, so what kind of a graph? So at least you should know a 4 to 5 kind of a graph at minimum. So line, scatter plot, histogram, I can say, and this pie plot, and I can say a box plot. I'll discuss about this box plot tomorrow for sure. So these are the 4 to 5 kind of a graph you need. If you are able to plot this 4 to 5 kind of graph, you are done. And again,
because
every
like
graph takes a columns or a row or x and y. That's it.
okay, because like you are using some different parameter and with different much more combination permutation. So we thought that do we need to memorize or something like
Not at
that?
all, not at all, not at all. So forget about beautification. As a data scientist, it's not your job to do a beautification. Your job is to analyze the data, do the analysis about the entire data set, and you need just a graph. So even graph is not looking beautiful, it's not a problem actually. Basically, data analyst people will do that.
Sure, sure. Thanks,
Okay.
thanks for
Yeah,
the
but yeah. So you're just supposed to remember, like, okay, what kind of a graph I can represent in what manner. Whatever I have done mostly for the beautification, which is not required.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.
So then, if we have 100 variables, how do you choose each and every variable? What the kind of graph to be represented, or which variables to be picked up?
So if you are trying to use 100 variable at a time.
No. If we have 100 variables as a data set,
yeah,
which variables will be picking, and how the analysis to be done?
No, basically,
based on
which
the...
variable, it depends upon you. You suppose if I'm trying to pick a first 5 column, and if I wanted to know the relationship between first 5 column, I can use it basically. Or maybe if I'm trying to do the comparison between column A and column Z, I can use it. So it depends upon my requirement. Graph never says you that which one you should pick. Basically, you should know that, okay, so basically you should know that I should do a comparison in between what?
My question is, for one independent variable, we have to create a graph for the independent variable, each and every independent variable, you are saying?
No, it's not like that. It comes into a other way, I would say. So the graph never tells you that, okay, so this is how you should plot or that is how you should plot. You should know that as a data scientist that, okay, so whether there is a relationship which is possible in between this data or not. If there is a relationship, then what is the relationship, right? So suppose if I have a thousands of column, right? But suppose I'm unknown about a relationship between certain columns in between. So what I can do is I can pick those 2 columns and I can try to plot it out, and then I will try to say that, okay, fine, so this is how the relationship is. Or else sometime what we used to do is, so we have to check that whether my data set is fit for certain algorithm or not, because every algorithm try to take a different kind of a data set, a shape, in terms of a graphical shape I'm talking about. So for that we used to represent all of those variables, and then we'll try to figure out that, okay, so this data set is fit for the algorithm, and this data set is not fit for the algorithm. And mostly I think this question will be much more clear when I'll talk about this plotly and couplings, because I'm going to use some of the interactive graph over there and with respect to some data set, and I will try to show you how you will be able to do the analysis on a data set by using a graph, basically. So yeah, but yes, you should know that which column and with which column you're trying to compare. The graph never tells you. So the graph will tell you the final result, a relationship, I can say, in between. But you are supposed to decide that with whom and with what we are trying to find out the relationship. Making sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So any other question we have?
Sudhanshu, can you just go to that scatter plot where you actually put the color as sepal width?
Which one?
The black one, the black and white one.
Black and
73.
white.
Can you go to 73?
73, 40, 41, 43, 49, 73, 73. Okay,
Yeah,
this
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Okay. So how will be actually giving this label for this one?
No, it's an auto label basically. You're not supposed to give anything.
No, but like how will you actually differentiate like which one is which one? You know, when you give the sepal width, it's a color, right? You know, it is differentiating between two.
Differentiating between which one? Sepal width?
Sepal width. Yeah, like what does it see actually? It is a color, right?
No, C is no. I have explained you these things, right? C is not a color. C is basically a z-axis. So basically, based on the color and intensity, it's just a representation in terms of a color. That okay, so this sepal width is increasing from here till here. This is just a representation. The main meaning of this thing is, so we are trying to choose a data. We are trying to choose a sepal length and petal length based on the sepal width.
Okay,
I think it's the other way around.
It's not other way around actually.
No, because there are some white dots. You can see it from 3 to 5.
There are some
white dots within the petal length.
Yes, yeah.
You can see a white dot over there.
So are you talking about? Are you talking about this one?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what is the meaning of that?
Indicates that the sepal width between 2 to 2.5 will be scattered over there.
Okay. Yes. Sepal width between 2 to 2.5. Yeah. Agree with you. Yes. So sepal width of 2 to 2.5 will be scattered over there in this particular process.
So that is where from white to black this particular colors are given, so that you can find out the sepal width.
Yeah, this particular color will always try to show you the intensity. Yeah, so increasing intensity and decreasing intensity on a sepal width. So yes, agree with that. Okay. So any other question?
So Sudhanshu, like if one of my column have blank value or duplicate value, so that also we can find out by using a graph.
If density, if like it's a nearby value, so in that case you will be able to get some density cluster over there. If it is exactly the same, then again and again it will be a same dot and you will not be able to find out, because coordinate is going to same. If x and y both are same at the same point of a time, in that case for sure you will not be able to find out. So duplicates, not possible.
So column, if I have to find out the data based upon particular single column, can we apply that?
If we have to find out the data based upon the
single column, how the data how is the data is distributed over a single column? Let's say for male, let's say for country column.
Yes, yeah.
So how the data is distributed on country column?
Yes.
And the country column is repeating or or containing some any kind of blank value. In that case, can we apply a graph?
Okay. Okay. So basically what we have done over here is, so we were having this data, right? TS data, agree? And can I say that I was able to plot this TS data? So TS data was having just one column. So I can say this is just having a one TS is nothing but it was a time series. It was kind of a list or kind of a array data, right? And basically we are able to plot this graph, right?
Yeah.
So that is possible, because ultimately you will be having indexes, whether you want it or not, whether you are giving your indexes or not. So here as of now, so we have given date range as indexes. By default, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, but still I will be able to plot it, right? So indexes will behave as an x-axis, and then your data magnitude will behave as a y-axis. So that is possible.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, so any other questions?
Sudhanshu, is there any due date for the Python subjective assignment?
Sorry?
Due date.
Due date, I think I have already given, right? You will be able to see on dashboard.
Yeah.
It's already given. So whenever I upload assignment, it uploaded with the due dates.
There is no due date, I guess. We have received in the email.
You need 1 more week. So just try to complete it. Otherwise, it's completely fine. Take your time. So we should not be in hurry.
Try to extend it.
Yeah, so fine, we'll extend that.
No, it's a almost a crash course.
Okay, fine. Just try to do it. Not a problem. So even if you're trying to submit a bit late, I'll ask my people not to deduct the marks at all. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure. And
that's
one more
fine.
thing, Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Regarding that Python, our assignment only multiple choice assignment.
Yeah.
How we are going to submit? Can we give that answer in our?
Simple. A pattern will be same. Copy the question and then paste your answer. So out of four, you're just supposed to pick one answer, paste it in your notebook, and then submit it. Similar way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while giving the assignments, is it necessary to provide it with the Puppet related means the comments and all those has to be followed?
Which one? I didn't get that.
Pep8 styling, Pep8 if for the Python.
No, it's not like that. It's completely fine if you're not following those stylings. It's fine for me.
Okay, and about the description about what the particular method is doing and
No,
all those.
not at all, not at all. While you're doing a full-fledged project, when you will do, right? So whenever you will develop a project into machine learning, into NLP, and into a Python, so then I can expect all those standardization into a code, right? But in this assignment, it's completely fine.
Okay, fine.
Okay, yeah.
Sudhanshu, I just have one doubt in one of the questions. Can I just share my screen for a while?
Yes,
In
sure.
my code, actually, okay?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Sure. So let me just know if you're able to see my screen right now.
Yeah, sure. So.
Are you able to see this?
No, I can see your name over here. So I think you have not shared it.
1 second. So
there will be a green button share. So click over there. You can select the top right corner button.
Sorry, it's like the basic one or which one?
No, so if you will click over here, you will be able to get a desktop one. So you're just supposed to select desktop one basic.
Yeah, okay. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, now I can see your screen.
Yeah, okay. So the thing is like I was working on this problem, okay?
Okay.
So the intention is to get the output as, the starting index as, the starting letter and as well as the ending letter should be same. For example, it's like W and W, and over here it is 1 and 1.
Got it, yeah.
I got it, okay. So
yeah.
if I use return over here,
sorry?
if I use return command.
Can you please speak a bit louder? I think we are losing your voice.
If I use return command over there, return, can you just hear me?
Yeah.
I'm getting only one value. For example, you see,
So yes, if you are going to return there itself, you will get one value, right? Return in a function. So basically it's an indentation line to if statement.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I'm getting only one value over there.
Yeah, so just try to return with respect to this function, not with respect to if statement.
Okay, so if I'm using return over there, the loop is getting terminated at there itself.
The loop is giving me?
The loop is getting terminated over there itself.
No, I didn't get that. So where you are trying to write a return?
No, it's like I'm writing over here, okay? So basically my output should come as WXW as well as 1331, but it is giving only WXW. Why?
It's because you are returning from a function.
Yeah. See, you can take one more list and append it and return that list.
You can do it that way.
That is fine, yeah. So basically like create one list before your for statement and empty list basically. So you can write now itself L is equal to bracket.
Yeah, and append on that.
And then simple inside this if statement. So try to do L dot append and whatever data you are getting, just append it and return this L in that way. So create a L first of all. Okay. I think the scope of this thing should be inside a function. Otherwise, it will give you blank.
Yeah.
The scope you have given outside. No, that is fine. List is fine.
No, still I'm not getting the output over there.
Remove that return after if. Yeah.
So what you are trying to do, by the way, so L is equal to L dot append and then try to return. So just try to give L dot append, okay, and then try to return L up this one, return L.
Go till for indentation and return from
indentation,
there.
Yeah,
return
go back.
from there.
Now, from here return it. So basically it's a function indentation, and with respect to that you're trying to return. Got it right? Yeah. Okay. So I think we all are clear about today. So fine, let's join a class tomorrow. Same time. Yeah. And let's have a discussion. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Great day.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Good night.